Many students think that speed and velocity are the same thing, but because we can use them interchangeably does not mean that they are exactly the same. And if you don't know the difference, you will be losing marks in your exams. So let's differentiate them properly. So what is speed? Speed is how fast you are moving, or how fast something is moving. This means that speed only asks one question: how fast is something moving? So let's consider these scenarios. A car moving at 60 km/h, a girl walking at 2 m/s, and a student running at 5 meters per second. In all of these scenarios, one thing is common, and that thing is speed. As mentioned earlier, speed is only concerned about how fast something is moving. That is, how fast is the car moving? 60 km/h. That is speed. What about the girl that is walking? How fast is she walking? 2 meters per second. That is speed. And the student that is running, how fast is he running? 5 meters per second. That is speed. And that is all speed is interested in. So speed is actually interested in the distance covered and the time spent in doing so. That is, speed is equal to distance over time. And that is it. The distance traveled, the distance covered, divided by the time taken. What about velocity? Velocity is how fast and which direction. Can you see the difference? While speed is only interested in how fast an object is moving, velocity wants to know what direction is that movement taking place. So going back to our previous examples, a car moving at 60 km/h has no velocity. But if we say a car moving at 60 km/h east, that is velocity, because there is now direction. What about the second example? A girl walking at 2 meters per second has no velocity. But if we say a girl walking at 2 meters per second towards her home, now we are talking about velocity, because we can see the direction. And the third instance, a student running at 5 meters per second has no velocity. But if we say a student running 5 meters per second towards the school gate, that is velocity, because we can now see the direction of movement. Can you see the difference now? While speed does not care about the direction of movement, velocity is very concerned about the direction of the movement. And because velocity is so particular about the direction of movement, we define velocity as displacement over time. Displacement meaning movement with direction. To make this point very clear, let's consider the movement of a boy. Let's assume this is point P, and a boy moves from point P to another point Q. If the boy moved 20 meters from point P to point Q, and he moved 20 meters backwards to a starting point, what distance has he covered? If you say 20 meters, you are wrong. But if you say 40 meters, you are right. Distance covered is equal to 40 meters, because he moved 20 meters from point P to point Q and another 20 meters backward. So the distance is 40 meters. But what is the boy's displacement? Displacement is equal to 0. Why 0? Because there was no displacement. The boy stopped at exactly where he started. So make it clearer, consider this. The boy started from point P and moved 20 meters to point Q, 20 meters to point Q. He then moved 5 meters backward to point R. What is the total distance of this boy? Distance is equal to 25 meters. What about displacement? Displacement is equal to 15 meters. Because the actual displacement is from P to R. That is the displacement. Displacement 15 meters. Recall that speed is distance over time, whereas velocity is displacement over time. So this scenario has helped us to see why speed and velocity are not exactly the same, because velocity is more concerned about the displacement, movement with direction. Where did it start from? Where did it end? This means that if you run a 400-meter race, 400-meter race around the pitch, this is your starting point. Your distance is 400 meters, but your displacement is 0 because you stopped at exactly the starting point. Velocity cannot see the direction, therefore your displacement is 0. But assuming you didn't complete the race, you stopped somewhere at the 300-meter mark, you started and ended there. What happens? Distance is 300 meters and displacement is 300 meters. In this case, the speed and the velocity will be the same. That is why most times we use speed and velocity interchangeably, but they are not exactly the same. Now that you know the difference between speed and velocity, the next step for you is acceleration, and I will break that down in the next lesson. Subscribe.